Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. I'm back after a few days off and I'm going to be sharing another movie review. So this movie was released in 2008. It's a German-speaking film, English subtitles. It's not a horror film. Released in 2008, directed by Dennis Gansel, and this movie is called The Wave. So the story is as follows. Based on a real-life experiment that took place in a Californian high school, The Wave tells the story of a high school teacher's unusual class experiment. In an attempt to demonstrate what life is like under a dictatorship, the teacher comes up with an experiment to explain his students how these sort of governments worked. A role-playing game with tragic results. Within a few days, what began with harmless notions like discipline and community builds into a real movement, The Wave. As the students' boundaries are pushed, things start to spiral out of control, and this newly found cult starts to take a life of its own. So what we have, it's set in Germany. The real story that this is based on was actually occurred in a Californian high school, but Germany have taken this story and they've made it their own. So basically it's set in Germany, a German high school, and there's a German teacher. He's very influential and he's very unorthodox. His fellow teachers see him as a little bit strange, but he gets results because the students really like him. So this teacher, he's taken his class and he's basically going to teach the class over the week what it's like to live under a dictatorship sort of rule. So everyone is going to address the teacher as the boss. Everybody's going to be in the same uniform. Everybody's going to salute. Everybody is going to address each other with respect. Everyone's the same. Basically, people who excel in their academic achievements are no different to the underachievers because everybody's going to get a same grade because everybody's going to help each other out. So it's that kind of rule where, that a lot of dictators take. So his idea is to show them the horrors of the German past and how dangerous a dictatorship can be. But although the teacher doesn't have any harmful sort of intentions, so it starts off as a lot of fun. The kids are really liking it. As I said, the teacher's very likable. They're doing some fun things like discipline and community and looking out for each other. But as the film progresses, they start to get a name for themselves. They're called The Wave. They have a salute where they salute each other with a wave. And they've got a logo. They've got an internet site. So things are starting to get a little bit full on. And the teacher is oblivious to this because he sees this as a little bit of an ego trip as well to show to other teachers what he's able to achieve. So he realizes that the teacher realizes that these students are starting to turn. They're starting to change in what he believes is for the good. But it turns out that as the week slowly progresses, this little cult that this teacher has developed is starting to take a life of its own and it's starting to spiral out of control. By the time the teacher realizes his mistake, it's already too late. The week ends in tragic results. So that's as far as I'm going to go synopsis. If you want to know more, then please go out there and see the film for yourself. I really don't want to spoil it. It's definitely a film that, if I gave away the ending, it's just one of those endings that will shock you because it's just a gradual sort of build up to a very rewarding ending. So I'm going to leave it there, and now I'm going to be telling you what I thought on this film. Now, I'd never heard of this experiment in this Californian high school, so when I picked up the film, I initially thought it wasn't based on a true story. But when I found out it was, it made it even more terrifying. But what I really liked about this is that it wasn't America that were doing a movie on it, it was Germany. And I think this applies more to Germany than any other country, considering Germany's dictatorship sort of past. Now, this is not a film that's going to bring up old memories and bash Germany. I think this brings up a very interesting topic and a very important one that revolves around dictatorships in the modern sort of society. So I think this is very brave filmmaking. Being a German director, Dennis Gansel, I thought, a lot of people may have hated this one because, they tend to want to keep the memory of Adolf Hitler hidden away because they're very shamed by it, which is understandable. But I think to understand evil is not to forget it, but to learn from it. And I think this film really does indicate how easy it could be for someone with a lot of power to become a dictator once again. So really, if you take things for granted that evil people like Adolf Hitler won't come around again, I think leaving the door open to this kind of thing happening again. And the students at the start of this film are they're certain that dictatorship is dead in Germany, and the teacher's intention is to open their eyes, but it just kind of goes a little bit further than he would have liked. Now, personally, this film to me was absolutely terrifying because it really is an insight into Germany's past. The teacher is Adolf Hitler. Now, obviously, he's not the same as Adolf Hitler. He doesn't have nasty intentions, but he's the dictator. And then you've got the classroom, who are the public of Germany. And it really is showing that, you know, these students took a liking to this teacher. He had likable qualities and he had very good speaking skills, talking, like public speaking. So you can understand why they would rally around him, and it's kind of like how you would understand the German public rallying around Hitler. That, you know, this guy with an ideology that people don't really have a full grasp on, that think that what they're doing is right because their leader is a good person and that, you know, he couldn't be involved in anything evil. And by the time everybody realizes just what's going on, the damage has been done. And that's exactly like this film. By the time, you know, people come to reality, it's already too late. The tragedy has already struck. So I think this is a very, very chilling film, but it's a very subtle film. So if you want something to kick back on a Friday night with some popcorn, I would definitely not get this film. It's a very intelligent film. I'm not saying anybody who doesn't like this film isn't intelligent. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that this is a very slow burning and very thought-provoking, because it really does show the dangers of dictators and how vulnerable people can be misled by very influential people, and how things can just spiral out of control, how powerful cults can be. Now, not only dictatorship, but, you know, separate sort of cults, and that, you know, if people outside the cult are criticizing them, then that just bands the cult together even more, and it kind of feels that it's them versus the world. So that shows you how much danger can be in that as well. So a film with a lot of depth, I thought was absolutely brilliant. I don't think it's as good as another film that's fairly similar to this one in nature. It's called Das Experiment by Oliver Hirschbergel. I think that is a superior film. The only thing I didn't like about this movie is I would have liked it to be a little bit longer. It is a fairly long film, 102 minutes, but I reckon it would have been better going for 2 hours, because I would have liked the transformation from the fun environment to the out-of-control environment to be a little bit slow and more in-depth, because it kind of feels like it's over, but it's kind of gone too far before you know it. And so I thought if it was a little bit more slow burning, it would have been perfect. But having said that, it is a brilliant film. I'm not going to go as far to say it was a masterpiece, only time will tell. But the acting was absolutely fantastic. The guy who played the teacher was great. Very believable characters, very vulnerable characters, especially in the students, and you really feel sorry for them because they're vulnerable sort of individuals. And while the intentions of the teacher weren't sinister, he took advantage of it all, and his ego prevented him from stopping this earlier. And that's the same with Adolf Hitler. If his ego, and he was an egomaniac, and he was, you know, a man with savage ideas, and I'm not going to compare him to the teacher because they're completely different people, but his ego wouldn't, you know, he wouldn't stop at anything because he felt that he was the right and what he was doing was the right thing to do. And that's exactly what the teacher does in this film. And although it's not the same, I'm not going to compare him to Hitler, it's still a Hitler sort of figure, and it's the power of dictatorship. So the cinematography, absolutely fantastic. Acting was great. Soundtrack was awesome. It wasn't over the top. There wasn't too much music. And the whole film would just captivate you. It really does grip you. And at the end, I thought it was a very, very rewarding ending, and it just left a really tragic sort of feeling to it. And that's exactly what the director wanted, and that's exactly what he got. Never heard of Dennis Gansel, but he's definitely a director to look out for. And, you know, highly, highly recommended if you like the slow burning and very, very thought-provoking films. So it doesn't come without its flaws. As I said, I would have liked it to be a little bit slower and just give a little bit more detail into the transformation in their mindsets. But, you know, having said that, it is chilling because of how real it is, and how, you know, if we take things for granted, it's not the person who is, well, obviously Adolf Hitler was evil, but the most evil thing and the most terrifying thing about Adolf Hitler was the ideology behind his movement. And that, you know, can you defeat ideology? Can you defeat an idea? Probably not. But can you limit the destruction with a better understanding? Yes, you can. And that's exactly what the film demonstrates with this one. So definitely a film I would say go and see. But yeah, just be prepared for something a little bit more intelligent and thought-provoking. Alright guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later.